The night was unusually cold, the kind of cold that made every sound fade away until the world felt wrapped in a soft, fragile silence. Leora sat by her bedroom window, a worn diary resting on her lap. But tonight, even her thoughts refused to settle. Something in the air felt different. A faint sound drifted through the darkness, like a tiny bell, soft, distant, almost dreamlike. She closed her diary, pulled her blanket closer, lay down slowly, and closed her eyes. And instantly, the world shifted. A hush spread through her ears, as if someone whispered her name from far, far away. Leora. Her heartbeat slowed, her breath deepened, and the bed beneath her felt like it melted away. Leora was standing on a stone path, eyes still closed, but she could feel everything. Cool air brushing her cheeks, the scent of damp wood and old lantern oil. A stillness so perfect it felt alive. She finally opened her eyes. A small town stretched out before her, silent, warm, glowing with soft lamplight. Wooden houses lined a narrow street, their roofs dusted with a faint silver shimmer. The lamps glowed a gentle gold, not too bright, not too dim, just enough to make everything look like a memory. Then her gaze caught a sign. "Welcome to Somnium, the town that lives only in dreams." Leora stared at it, something tugging inside her chest. "This feels familiar," she whispered. And then, footsteps. She turned. A boy her age stood under a lantern's soft glow. Dark coat, white scarf, eyes full of the kind of calm you only see in dreams. He smiled gently. "You finally came." Leora blinked. Do I know you? What is this place?" The boy stepped closer, the lamplight brushing across his face. "This town appears only to those searching for something their waking life couldn't give them." Leora's breath caught in her chest. Something about this place, this boy, felt strangely right. "Why me?" she whispered. He spoke softly, almost kindly. "Because Somnium has been waiting for you." He extended his hand. "Come, there's a secret the town wants you to see." Leora hesitated, just a heartbeat, then placed her hand in his. Warmth spread through her fingers. As they walked deeper into Somnium, the wind moved gently, almost as if the entire town sighed in welcome. But Leora soon noticed something strange. The houses, the lamps, the very air, they weren't just there. They were watching her. Somnium wasn't just a town. It was alive. The air shifted the moment I shut my eyes again. One blink, and the world dissolved into that same muted blue twilight. When I opened them, the ordinary world was gone, and the quiet town waited for me, like it always had, patient and breathless. I stood in the middle of a cobblestone street that didn't exist a moment ago. The lamps glowed with a soft, trembling halo, as if lit by fireflies instead of electricity. The houses lining the road were old, wooden, and impossibly neat. Yet somehow I could feel no one lived in them. Not anymore. A gentle wind brushed past, carrying the smell of old paper and rain-soaked earth. It whispered through the empty alleys like a voice trying to remember a language it once knew. I took a cautious step forward. That's when I heard it, a faint echo of footsteps behind me. Not threatening, just slow, almost curious. I turned, but the street stretched empty in both directions. Then I noticed something new. At the far end of the lane, a figure stood beside the fountain, still, like a shadow carved into the world. The same figure from last night, too tall to be a child, too slender to be an adult, head slightly tilted, watching, always watching. I swallowed hard and approached, each step echoing impossibly loud in the silent town. As I got closer, the figure didn't move, didn't breathe, didn't even seem real, until its head twitched slightly, a tiny, unnatural motion, like something learning how to mimic a human gesture. The lamps flickered, the sky dimmed, and then, without warning, the figure raised its arm and pointed toward a narrow alleyway behind the fountain, the one I hadn't noticed before. My heartbeat thud in my ears. The alley was darker than the rest of the town, swallowed in shadow. But something in the air pulled me forward. A pressure, a presence, a promise that whatever lay inside was the reason I was brought here. One more blank. The world wavered, and the figure disappeared, leaving only its echo behind, a whisper carried by the wind. Not yet, but soon. I stepped toward the alley, breath trembling, knowing there was no turning back now. The alley swallowed me the moment I stepped inside. The air shifted, colder, heavier, like I had crossed an invisible threshold. The narrow walls felt too close, built of stone that looked older than anything in the waking world. Strange chalk-like markings covered them. Symbols, spirals, shapes that made my eyes ache if I stared too long. They looked almost carved by hand, or by something with hands. A soft dripping sound echoed deeper inside. Water, or something pretending to be water. I followed the noise. The deeper I went, the more the alley bent and twisted, as if it wasn't built but grown. The sky above thinned into a narrow slit of pale blue twilight, flickering like a dying screen. Every few steps, I felt a faint tremor beneath my feet, a heartbeat far below the town. Then I saw the door. A single wooden door standing at the very end of the alley, not attached to any house or wall. Just standing there, alone, waiting. Its surface pulsed with faint blue light that matched the town's strange glow. I reached out, but before my fingers touched it, I heard the footsteps again. Slow, measuring, deliberate. My breath froze. I turned my head just enough to see the silhouette at the alley's entrance. The same figure from before, taller now, or maybe the alley made it look that way. Its limbs seemed slightly too long, its outline slightly blurred, like it was made of fog that never fully held its shape. It didn't move toward me. It didn't speak. It just watched. The door creaked softly on its own, as if urging me to choose. Stay with the figure behind me, or step through a door that couldn't exist. A whisper slid through the air, close enough to my ear to make my skin crawl. If you open it, you won't wake the same. My hand trembled on the wooden surface, but I pushed anyway. The moment the door cracked open, a blinding white light surged through the alley, swallowing every shadow, every corner, every breath. And then the world vanished under its glow. The white light didn't fade. It collapsed. It folded inward like a curtain being pulled away, revealing something impossibly vast beneath it. Suddenly, I wasn't standing in an alley anymore. My feet rested on a floor so smooth it felt like polished glass. A cool mist drifted around my ankles. Above me was a sky that wasn't a sky, a swirling dome of shifting colors, blending like ink in water. Blues, violets, silver, a dream made into a ceiling. I took one breath. The air tasted like nothing, no sense, no weight, just silence. Then, somewhere deep in that silence, I heard a sound. Tap, tap, tap. Soft footsteps, but not mine. I spun around and saw the boy. The same boy I had glimpsed on the hill. Closer now, clearer. His hair was silver like moonlight, and his eyes glowed faintly, not unnaturally, but like he carried a piece of the dream sky inside them. He stopped a few feet away, holding an old lantern with light that didn't flicker. "You shouldn't have opened the door," he said quietly. His voice echoed, not through the air, but through me, as if sound traveled differently here. "I didn't have a choice," I answered. "There was something behind me." The boy lowered his eyes. "I know. It follows everyone who enters Somnium for the first time, but it can't cross this threshold. You're safe, for now." I looked around at the endless space. Where am I? The boy lifted the lantern, and its light spread like ripples on a pond. Shapes began to emerge from the mist. Benches, stone paths, a fountain that seemed to float slightly above the ground. "This," he said, "is the first memory, the heart of the town. Somnium shows this place only to those who are awake enough to dream, but dreaming enough to see." "That explains nothing," I muttered. A small smile touched his lips. "Then I'll explain it properly." He stepped closer. "In the world you come from, People think of dreams as stories, random images, imagination. But Somnium isn't a dream. It's a place, a town built from the pieces of forgotten memories. Yours, mine, everyone's. When a memory is lost, it doesn't disappear. It ends up here. I stared at him, stunned. So this town is made of things people forgot. He nodded. Exactly. Every door leads to a memory. Every street is built from someone's past. Even the shadows you saw belong to someone who isn't ready to remember. I felt a chill crawl up my spine, and the figure following me. The boy's expression changed. Not fear, sorrow. That is a memory trying to return to its owner. But not all memories want to return gently. He looked at me with strange intensity. You have something missing, something important. The closer I walked toward the glowing archway, the heavier the air became, as if the memory waiting behind it already recognized me. A faint vibration hummed through the stone floor beneath my feet, like a heartbeat buried deep inside Somnium. I took one step through the arch, and everything changed. I found myself standing on a quiet street, bathed in warm afternoon sunlight. Real sunlight, not the bluish glow at Somnium. The sky was clear. The air smelled like summer, soft and familiar. So familiar it twisted something inside my chest. A row of small houses stretched down the neighborhood, each one painted in bright colors: yellow, sky blue, pale green. The kind of place where children ride bikes and people leave their doors unlocked. A dog barked in the distance. Wind chimes tinkled lazily on someone's porch. I knew this place. I didn't know how, but I knew it. My hands began to shake. Then I saw her. A little girl, maybe 6 or 7, sitting on the curb across the street, hugging a stuffed rabbit with worn, frayed ears. Her dark hair fell messily over her face. She sniffled quietly, wiping tears with the back of her hand. Something inside me broke open. I knew her. I didn't just recognize her. I felt the ache of her sadness like it was my own. I stepped closer. "Hey, are you okay?" I asked gently. The girl didn't look up. She just hugged the rabbit tighter. Then, in a trembling whisper, she said, "He left without saying goodbye, again." Her voice cracked. My breath caught in my throat. I knew that sentence. I had heard it before, years ago, in a place just like this. The girl finally raised her head, and for a moment, the world stopped. Because she had my face, my eyes, my tiny scar near the eyebrow, my childhood expression, the one I thought I had outgrown long ago. I wasn't just looking at a memory, I was looking at myself. The younger me blinked up at me, tears drying on her cheeks. "You can't stay here," she whispered. "He won't come back." My chest tightened painfully. Who won't? The little version of me hesitated, as if she wasn't allowed to say his name. Then her gaze shifted behind me, past me, and her eyes went wide with fear. "He's here." She scrambled backward, clutching the rabbit. "You brought him with you." I spun around. At first, I saw nothing, just the empty street, the calm afternoon. Then the shadows stretched, longer, darker, bending in unnatural directions. The figure stepped into the sunlight, and the sunlight dimmed around it. Tall, too tall, arms wrong, shape flickering like a half-remembered nightmare. It wasn't a monster, it wasn't a ghost. It was a memory, trying to take shape, trying to become real. My heart slammed in my chest as it walked toward me, its voice a distorted whisper. "You forgot me, but I never forgot you." The younger me screamed. The figure leaned closer, and the world cracked. The world shattered like glass, the street, the sky, the younger version of me, all breaking into bright shards of memory that spiraled upward in a storm of light. I fell through them, through my own past, through fragments I had buried so deep that even my dreams refused to touch them. When I hit the ground, I landed back in Somnium. Except it wasn't the same. The quiet dream town was trembling. Streets flickered in and out of existence. Lanterns dimmed, then flared, then died again. The bell tower rang a slow, uneven toll, like the heartbeat of something wounded. The boy stood in the center of the square, his lantern shaking in his hands. "You remembered," he whispered. "That's why the town is changing." I took a slow breath, my chest tight and hot from the memory clawing its way back. "He left," I said. "My father left, and I spent years pretending I didn't care, until the memory became something else, something dark." The boy nodded gently. "Pain becomes shape here." He looked behind me, "And yours has followed." I turned. The figure, the long-limbed shadow, was no longer a monster. It was a man. Not clear, not full, but shaped enough that I could see the outline of shoulders and the tilt of a head I had once known so well. He stood there, as if waiting for me to speak. My throat tightened. "I thought forgetting would make it easier," I said quietly. The shadow took one hesitant step forward. But all it did, my voice cracked, was leave me stuck in the one moment I never faced. The boy spoke softly behind me. "If you walk away from it now, somnium will trap the memory forever. But if you face it, the town will release you." I nodded. Then I stepped toward the shadow. The figure froze, trembling like a candle flame. "I'm not the child you left anymore," I whispered, "and I don't need you to come back." The shadow leaned forward, as if listening. "I'm letting you go." A wind moved through somnium, soft, warm, the kind that follows a long overdue exhale. The shadow shook, its edges growing brighter, lighter, until it dissolved into a swirl of silver dust that rose gently into the dream sky and vanished. The bell tower fell silent. The ground stopped trembling. The town finally exhaled. The boy walked up beside me, his lantern glowing steady again. "You remembered the pain," he said, "and you released it. Somnium is grateful." The buildings around us shimmered with new light, calm light. The fog lifted, revealing streets that looked warm instead of haunting. "So, what happens now?" I asked. The boy smiled, a soft, real smile that reached his silver eyes. "Now you wake up." The world brightened. Warmth spread across my skin. Everything blurred. The square, the lantern, the boy, all fading like mist at dawn. But just before the dream vanished, I heard his voice one last time. "Whenever you close your eyes, somnium will still be here. But next time, you won't walk it alone." I opened my eyes. My room, my bed, morning light creeping through the curtains. But something felt different. Lighter, quieter, like a weight I had carried for years had finally been set down. And for the first time in a long time, I felt ready to sleep again, ready to dream again, ready to return if somnium ever called me back.